How you guys doing? Very good? Awesome. Well, I'm excited to be here and share with you some quick strategies, tactics on cold email prospecting. Just wondering, is anybody unfamiliar with that language? Everybody knows what that is, cold emailing, cold email prospecting. Okay, good. So we're going to get into how to cold email, which really we got the 10 irrefutable laws of cold email prospecting. So maybe half of them are specifically in regards to email, and maybe the other half are not limited to email, right? 'Cause I know a lot of people don't like email. So these strategies will help you whether you're in LinkedIn, hitting people up, if you're in the app for this conference and say, hey, let me connect with that person. Let me send them a message. What kind of message can I send someone to get their attention and get them to want to work with me? So that's what we're going to go through. Real quick, if you want to take notes, that's fine, but really there's only one note I'd say you need to check out. And that is lawsofcoldemail.com. It's just a simple page I created with about 9 pages of notes of everything that I'm talking about today. So later on, you can just check that out. It's a little downloadable, it's like a bunch of pages. It goes into more depth of all the software, app, strategy, some links and resources. It's all in that site. Sound good? Great. So real quick, here's my success story. I can tell you my background, and the last Robin was talking about, you don't have to tell a lot about yourself. So I'm going to keep this within 120 seconds, give you my background. But that's my family, my wife, Keem, my daughter, Avriel. They're my success. Specifically in the world of business, I started my first company technically in 2001. I was still in college, studying engineering and all this techie stuff, and the internet was booming, and all the people were making millions. So I want to make millions. So I got into website design and played around with it, and just, I did okay. I survived. Did it for a couple years. I took a break, went to grad school, met my wife. Daughter was born in '06, which was a pretty big time with a wife and daughter. And if you know, with family, if you ever need more motivation for work and motivation for sales, get a wife, get a spouse, get a child, and that'll boost you. So I got back into business, and my business grew 400% over the course of 4 years, partially because I was in a good industry. I got into search engine optimization back when you could hire somebody at $3 an hour and do a bunch of crazy stuff and just, could game Google back in the days. And so I was a part of those days, and I could guarantee top rankings, and things went well for about 4 years. And then Google slapped me, and Panda kicked me, and Penguin flapped me, and so business kind of shifted. So from then on, I've been doing consulting with companies on lead generation, and of everything I've done Flash, remember Flash, DVDs and ROMs, I've done a lot of different things, but email has been the most, highest ROI, the most successful thing I've done with any company. So that's why I like to talk about cold email. It works. I do it right now in a real estate company is one of the companies I work with, as well as Task Drive, so I'll mention later. But I do a lot of email, and it still works. Again, there's new technologies, there's new things, but you really can't beat email. So let's get into it. Let's deal with the elephant in the room. If any of you ever think, I'm not going to send a bunch of emails out because that's spam, right? If you're concerned, I'm not going to blast it out. It's interesting when you actually look into the laws, because this is, the first law of, being good at cold emailing is understanding that if you look into the U.S. laws of email with the CanSpam Act, it's funny that the CanSpam Act makes no difference whether or not it's your customer or a stranger. If you look into what spam is in the federal government concerned, it makes no difference. The issue is when you're selling something via email, even if it's a customer, you need to follow about 6 or 7 guidelines. Again, and most of those guidelines are just be legit, leave your address, allow them to opt out, don't mislead them. So you have to understand the law. And again, I put recipient law because if you do sales and business outside of the U.S., the laws are completely different. So if you're emailing Canada, which has very, very strict laws, you need to know the laws of when you're emailing people out. Because again, I do certain we've got customers in Canada, and most times they say don't email the customers because of the laws are so strict. So the first thing you need to know is look into the law. Again, if you go to lawsofcoldemail.com, I have a list of every spam law or email law across the country. You can just Google you can Google it as well. So that's the first law. Second thing is hygiene. More bounce to the ounce, if you know everything. So when you're sending out in emails, you definitely need to clean your list. Once again, you may know this, but I've been doing a lot more volume. It's amazing that if you don't keep your list clean with bounces, your emails, even if nobody marks them as spam, nobody thinks anything bad of you, you will never even see the inbox. Or Google will put you into the promotions tab or the offers tab or the whatever. So you definitely always want to clean your list. And cleaning lists is not just taking out bad emails. It's also just people that don't open your emails. If you email the same person or the same group of people 10, 20, 30 times and they never open, that will affect your deliverability. So that's number 2. And again, I want to go through these quickly because I actually want to get into some examples. And we can just go through some strategies. And anytime, if you want to talk to me later on, if you're doing emailing, if you're doing LinkedIn stuff, and you want to chat about what you're doing, what's working, because I've got some unique formulas, some strategies that work pretty well. So the third thing is volume. When you think about cold email, you're not doing millions. You're not doing thousands of emails out. You're normally doing 50 to 100, or if you're using some cold email tools, you're not going to be sending large volumes. So when you get into this strategy, you got to realize it's manual, right? It's not huge, mass, crazy email stuff. Okay. Number 4, no monkey business, which is referring to MailChimp. When you're doing cold email, when you're emailing a stranger, I think almost 99% of all email platforms like MailChimp and Constant Contact and Aweber or anything, they do not allow you to upload or use emails of people who didn't opt in. Okay, so when you think about cold email, it's a different platform. It's not those mass marketing email service providers. There are tools like Pitchbox, Tout, Yesware. So if you Google cold email tools, you'll find how you can send 100, 200, 300 emails a day towards cold leads, which is legal, which is fine. Like again, when I mentioned the CanSpam laws, it's not against the law to email 1,000 people who don't know you. It's completely fine, okay? But in MailChimp and ActiveCampaign and Campaign Monitor and those tools, they don't want you to do it. So that's what you gotta understand. There is a way to do it. So look into the platform. Again, at the laws of cold email, I've got about 20 different services listed, and I've personally used about 6 or 7 different cold email platforms. Like one like HubSpot has a free sales tool that works good for this. Tout app is a great service for sending out, again, I think 500 at a time, okay? So there's a bunch of different ones I have there, but you definitely want to look for a platform that's going to work well for cold email. Number 5, now we're getting to more of the content, this a little bit more strategy related. When you're sending out a cold email, you have to be, picky and particular about your subject. If you study copywriting and copywriters, they'll tell you that you can spend all day long creating the greatest story and strategy and communication, but your headline or an email, your subject, a lot of people spend more time on their subject than anything else. And one thing when it comes to the spam laws, that's one thing, like they don't want you to be misleading. So you gotta be careful. You gotta get people's attention, right? You gotta catch them, but you don't wanna put like FWD or forward or RE. Some of those things will work sometimes, but sometimes they can be misleading. So you have to be careful with how you label your subject to make sure you get attention, but you also have to be consistent with the message. Because you might get opens because you found some fancy way to put their first name and something crazy, but then they open the email and it's completely different. And I've noticed that I could get large numbers of opens, but then the replies are minimal to none, or you won't get any clicks because there was a disconnect. Yeah.
Sorry, I missed something. What does cold email mean? I missed the definition.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So
Cold.
Code, yes. Sure. Yeah, no worries. So, were you here earlier, or were you not here at all? Yeah, so just talk about how to email somebody who doesn't know you. The fact that it's legal, it's fine, and it's also, again, it relates to LinkedIn messaging. Instagram, I hear, is a popular way to just directly message anybody. The app for this conference, right? You got everybody's contact information. That's a common thing now. So it's all pretty similar. Huh?
How does that relate to like the CanSpam Act, which asks people to double opt-in to be part of the list? Or is that not related?
The CanSpam Act does not talk about opt-in.
No?
No. if you just Google it, it talks about making sure your address is in there, you allow people to opt out, but it doesn't relate to opt-ins. Opt-ins are specifically about, again, it's like you go on Gmail, you can go to your email account and say it's illegal. If I get your card, and I get her card, and I go to my email account, that means I can't email her because she didn't opt in. So the CanSpam Act does not mean you can't email somebody who doesn't opt in.
Is there a limit to how many people that you don't know that you can email at one time?
Legally? No.
Yes, legally.
No, the law does not relate to that.
Okay.
There's email platforms. Every email marketing software out there is going to say, no, you can't do it, like normal ones. But there's no law as of now that says that. Because I'm doing like hundreds of thousands of emails right now through a certain server in Michigan that they specialize in large emails out. And I've been doing it for a while, and there's a way to, again, I'm not recommending that. I'm mainly talking about smaller volumes, using 100 people at a time, 10, 20, how to go to LinkedIn, do a search for somebody. There's tools. You can extract everybody from LinkedIn and then email them out. So this is, again, and I'll get into some examples of how I do it and how I reach people and how they don't get pissed off and they actually, oh, wow, you're actually a nice guy, and how to do that most times. Number 6, think about when you deal with cold email, you have to understand your goal. Your goal is not, marriage. Your goal is not to find a stranger, send them an email, and they're going to click and buy. So you're not trying to close a sale on an email, on a cold email. You really just want to get a reply. You want to see if they're live. Are you even opening this email? I've got a friend that specializes in LinkedIn. He added about 6,000 contacts on LinkedIn last year. Specifically, and that's specifically in Phoenix. I live in Phoenix now. Because he works with small businesses, but he has a very good strategy in LinkedIn. And so he says an average of 25% on LinkedIn are even active on their account. So first time when you're doing cold emails, when you're outreach, you first just want to know, are they even alive? Are they going to respond to you? So that's why you're not trying to say, hey, my name is this, will you buy my whatever, we solve your problems. That's not what you're doing. So number 7, you have to be personal. I don't know if you ever get any emails if an email starts off, Dear Sir, Madam, I don't know if you get those. I've been in marketing and web, and I get those all the time. That's like an automatic no-no, right? But you want to be personal. And personal it's a two-way street. You want to know something personally about the person you're trying to reach. So you have to do some research. You want to not just use their first name, depending on your strategy or what you're doing. If it's a referral, if you've got a common connection. Some people look at, hey, we both follow so-and-so on Twitter, or I noticed you posted something. So there's a bit of research that helps to connect to the person. A little small plug for Task Drive. Task Drive does research for you. I assume if you're worth more than $10 an hour, you don't need to be doing research. So come talk to me later, and I can help you get some of the research done so you can be more personal. And the other thing is when people get your email, they don't want to see a newsletter. It's cold. You don't send them a newsletter. It's not a brochure, right? That's mass marketing. Nobody's going to respond to a beautifully designed newsletter. You want to be personal. If it's coming from you, from Al, I'm going to respond to Al. But I'm not going to respond to, it's less likely a stranger is going to respond to a big company, corporate. So be personal and know your prospect personally. Next thing, this as any sales thing, you have to follow up. And with most cold email tools, the follow-up is built in. You say, send this person an email every 2 days, every 3 days, every week, 20, 30 times. And most tools, they stop sending at the point the person replies back. So just make sure you're going to have to do a bunch of follow-ups. So don't give up after 5, 10 times. If they don't respond, if they're not complaining, don't assume anything. Number 9, love the quote by Peter Drucker, what gets measured gets managed. So, of course, whatever tool you use, you want to track it. And that's when I noticed that, through tracking, I noticed that my subjects, when I had really cool, catchy subject lines like first name, ... or things like that got more opens, they got less clicks, they got less replies. And so I learned to not be so fancy, but my subject had to be relevant. But you only know that through tracking and testing. And then number 10, peace. Let them go. If somebody wants to get out, that's one of the spam laws. As long as you let the person leave and they say, remove me, I hate you, F you, whatever, as long as you honor that, it's good. So email 1 million people, and if they say let me go, let them go. And that'll keep your list clean, and it'll work for you. I don't know how much time we have. Let me know.
You're about 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah, so you were talking about the subject line being nuanced.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I'm curious about the subject line versus the length of the body.
Yeah, normally in short, because I got 3 minutes, so short is always better. I want to real quickly talk about this strategy, and this will get into it. Because again, if you're using LinkedIn, if you're using Instagram, using Twitter, using the app for this conference, there's not going to be a subject, right? So a lot of the best ways to reach people, a lot of times, it may not be in the email program. But if you do, I love this strategy. More cheese, less whiskers. Again, in the reference website, I've got it described. Has anybody heard of this strategy? So in short, I'll make it, you are the cat, and your target is the mouse. And mice do not think, process about cheese. They grasp for cheese. They're compelled for cheese, right? So one strategy to email somebody, you want to put cheese out there. You want to give them what they want, and they want cheese. So know your customer and know what cheese they want. Only issue is that if they see whiskers connected to your cheese, they know it's a trick. So when you're emailing them, say, hey, I got something for you, or I think I know what you want. If they see the whisker, if they know it's just a trick to get them to talk to you, that won't work. And I'll explain what that means. Here's a simple example that I do now. Hey, Jim, are you still active in real estate? Right? I have a service for this realtor. But the cold email, the strategy, I need to make sure they're live, make sure we can even have a conversation. But this email, I'm not lying, but he's going to see that and thinks I want to buy a house. So he's going to see, or I say, are you still active in Philadelphia? Little stuff like that, that's an all cheese email. It makes him think I'm offering cheese. And then we can have a conversation about how I can help him grow his business or wherever. Then there's, your service, are you accepting new patients? It might be full, who knows? I don't know. If you're not accepting, then I can't sell you marketing services. Or, but that's a real simple, fast way of talking about an all cheese email. Makes sense? Again, I love to talk to you. I'm here all day today, tomorrow. I think my time is up. I want to, I've got more strategies. I will say, as a business, I don't know if you're business owners or what you do, but I love the idea of thinking of, how do you get to the next level? This guy spoke for 20 minutes. How does he do it? How do you do it? I think I've learned in business, you either go how route or you go the who route. Meaning you can learn and study, and I can give you more resources on how to do this. Or you can find a who. Again, that's Task Drive. If you need help and you just don't need to figure it all out, let me help you. If you want to learn, lawsofcoldemail.com. Really simple. You get notes, bunch of apps, all the spam laws, some email copy strategies, and a cold email quiz to figure out what's the best tool for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Arvell.